No set, no shot, no focus, no show. I'm gonna let the intro explain.
Hi, I'm the guy that plays Profit and all the other characters in 8-bit archaeology. I love horror games, which is ironic since I used to be deadly afraid of them. But throughout my childhood and young adult life, I've always been drawn to them, but I've never completed one. That was until Alan came along, Alan Wake. And since then, I've taken my revenge on horror games, and this is why I'm starting this show. Welcome to Fright Night.
Hey, it's your friendly neighborhood internet host, Randall. I'm a huge Walking Dead fan. I heard about the comics years before the show was announced, but I didn't start reading it until the actual announcement in 2009. And since then, I've been reading the comic and watching the show religiously. I've also taken a liking to Telltales Walking Dead games, so why not review a Walking Dead title for my first episode of the series? The game picks up where the comic book left Michonne. Haunted by hallucinations of the night she lost her daughters, Michonne is fighting her way through an army of undead, her perspective changing between hallucination and reality as she does. And as the final walker is defeated, she collapses to her knees and puts a gun to her head, but fortunately for us, she drops it as she passes out and we get a glimpse of her future friend Pete. This opener does a great job of revealing to us just how damaged Michonne was and what drove her to leaving the group. She's been suppressing a lot of stuff in order to stay alive, and it's come to the boiling point and forced her to deal with it. It's the most interesting subplot, and it will probably be the reason I come back for episode 2 and 3. After the intro, the action picks up as Michonne awakens from a nightmare. She's now a part of Pete's crew of sailing traders. The crew picks up a distress signal, and as they do, their ship gets caught in something. Pete and Michonne sail off in a rowboat towards the distress signal and come across a derelict ferry. It becomes apparent very quickly that it's been the site of grisly horror. As they look for answers, they come across a pair of unfriendly survivors. After a heated argument, one of the survivors tries to run off, and as she does, another group enters the fray. They've got bigger guns, and they take Michonne, Pete, and a pair of unfriendly survivors, later known as Sam and Greg, captured. Michonne is put in a cellar with Sam, and this is where we get to experience one of the few jump scares. Creepy ghost children. It becomes apparent that while Sam and her brother Greg might have stolen from the Monroe settlement, the Monroe survivors aren't good people. Actually, the Monroe survivors are borderline sadistic. I immediately wanted to stab Randall in the face, and I made sure Maya and Michonne wanted to do that too. There's also Norma, the leader of the Monroe people. Michonne is taken to Norma to be interrogated, and Norma puts on a good show to gain your trust, but then flips as she realizes she can't. Her immediate transformation is captivating. It all ends with idiot Greg getting dragged into the interrogation and lying about knowing Michonne. An argument heats up and Randall drags the entire group into another room and goads Zachary, an otherwise nice character, into shooting Greg and thus turning him in the process. Roll credits. Up until now, Michonne has been kind of a one-sided character. Occasionally, for brief periods of time, she would soften up a bit, and during the Governor saga, she would tighten up, only to return from whatever her transformation was to the stage her character was previously on, just a few issues before. Her TV counterpart, on the other hand, went through lasting character development years ago, and as she did, she quickly became one of my favorite characters in the show. Comic book Michonne? Not so much. Until now, maybe. As this is a Telltale game, you get to choose how you tell the story. And TV Michonne versus her comic book counterpart comes into play here, as you can choose what kind of Michonne you want to be. Whatever direction you decide to go, it's nice to see Michonne's character develop, but it's also one of the game's most glaring issues, since the tagline for this game's announcement reads,
"The story explores her untold journey during the time between issues 126 and 139.
So, we know that she's gonna survive her adventure, so the fear of her dying or being mutilated like previous protagonists is gone, and with it, one of the top selling points of this game. And it often makes otherwise tense moments fall completely flat because, you know, she's gonna make it. Walking Dead Michonne is a well-crafted game. For the most part, it has the usual Telltale awkwardness that makes it feel like it's a bit rushed. There's a lot of loading time both when entering the game and between scenes. And the intro even lagged out halfway through, which kind of killed the mood. But the graphics are beautiful. It really feels like you've stepped into the pages. The game tries, and it tries really hard. It's a well-crafted game, sure, but it seems the guys over at Telltale were a little bit too excited to get to tell Michonne's story that they forgot that she wouldn't make a great protagonist for Telltale's Walking Dead game. It's a good game for sure, but it's not a good horror game. That said, if you are a fan of Telltale's Walking Dead, you should play this. It's a really good game, it's just not a good horror game. On the Silent Hill scale, I rate this a Homecoming. It looks and plays like a Walking Dead game, but like in Silent Hill Homecoming, where you play a trained soldier, the stakes are never high enough for you to care about your character, maybe just be mildly interested in exploring their personal issues, but it completely misses the point of being a horror game, the fear. Until next time, stay scared.